Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about...
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the
Tomato
JR72 Challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency
We must
is
first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you can't.
No matter what, you have to put yourself first. If you're not aware that there's change that needs to be made, how can you fix it? This information is fire. I had to come to the realization that, number one, I was an emotional eater. We need to accept the decisions that we make, because if we can do that, then we have the power to change them. You came here so that way you can start moving into your heaven path. Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
I went ahead and let them know that the superstar was coming in tonight, man.
let them know. You didn't throw your intro in, man.
No, that's how they knew it was the superstars night.
Oh, okay.
They probably getting sick of me, man. They've been seeing me for the past 2-3 weeks.
Just constant. Chris James.
Every time.
That's
What's going on, everybody? Good evening. I went ahead and rustled up Steven for the last live of the year. I think maybe, I don't know. I might do something tomorrow. I don't know.
It is the 30th. I didn't even realize that, man. My days have been all messed up, man.
Yeah,
all messed up.
Okay, I see Brooklyn's in the house. Who we got in the chat tonight? Paris, France.
Oh, McKinney. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, y'all showed up tonight. What I'm curious to know, what are y'all planning to do tomorrow night? I'm just curious to know, like, what y'all planning to do tomorrow night. Like, back in the day, man, Steve, if it was let's say, well, we could easily say about 8 years ago. If it was 8 years ago, we might be planning to go out.
Yeah, 8 years ago. Whew.
18 years ago.
It had definitely been about go time. Planning on getting bottles. What we gonna eat? We throwing steaks on the grill. You know what I'm saying? Where we going? Yeah, it's a whole new world now, man. Not outside world, but our world. You know.
Last year, I think I want to say maybe I did maybe something special for dinner. You know what I mean? Something, yeah. And then did affirmations and goal setting, like a whiteboard session. That's what I did last year for New Year's.
I was out of town. I remember when you did that, and I was out of town when you did that. But yeah, that's a great way to end the year. And how did that work for you? What came of that?
I think that it was a very rough year. It was a very rough year. I asked a lot from 2024. You know how, like, when you say, okay, I have a problem with patience, for example, right? I'm an impatient person. And so you say, okay, God, I want you to grant me patience. Help me to be more patient. And then so what God does is he puts you in position after position for you to test your patience. It's like a trial. The only way for you to become a more patient person is not by magic or osmosis overnight, because God bless you and tell you. It's because you have to learn a lesson. And so for all that I asked from 2024, I learned some very valuable lessons that I think will help to create the foundation for what I want ultimately and what I want to achieve. So it was very rough. It was a very rough year, a very rough lesson that I had to learn, but also by the same token, I could see the value of what I went through last year or this year in order to prepare myself for the next level. Because I'm not gonna lie, bro. I did not hold my tongue. I said, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. In that same vein, I've learned some humility. I've learned, you know, the funny thing is that you did a live the other day, and I caught bits and pieces of it, but you were talking about maybe I'm gonna say this wrong, maybe the negative parts of weight loss, or okay, I don't remember the exact title.
Why you should not lose 100 pounds is the video.
There you go. Okay, and one of the things that I have been learning, or I guess you could say that I was working to learn about myself, was like, who am I? And it seems like for some people that can seem like that doesn't make sense. But if you've never gone through that process of changing literally every part of your life, and losing almost 200 pounds, and then trying to figure out, like, who is this person, that is really what I was like focusing on last year. And I tried a lot, I'm sorry, well, this year, 2024, and I tried a lot of new things. There were some things that helped propel my wellness forward. There were a lot of things that I thought would work that actually brought my wellness backwards. So this year in total has been a very interesting learning year, where I was working on new things or trying new things to see, what do I like, what don't I like, what works for me now, versus who I am. Like, all the fasting, all the dieting, all of that stuff, you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, now what? Right. And that's why I started like working out, and I fell into like the protein trap, and just trying to solidify where I am and where I am now looking to go. So a lot of the 2024 for me was trial and error, and a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but it is part of the journey, part of that work, because I can promise you all this: who you are at the beginning of your process, or where you are, let's say you're in the middle of it, you are going to be a completely different person when you get closer to the end of it, right? Or when you're just full maintenance. And there's going to be a portion of you that you don't recognize, and you're going to have to learn how to live as that person. And it is not easy. So that is where I've been this entire last year. So, but it's all been good.
Yeah. Well, perspective is the key here, because it's easy to think, okay, things are going bad or things aren't going the way we want. If you ask, you do all the work, you do the meditation, you do the prayers, you do the. By the way, I see y'all in the chat. Steve, everybody's going to church, by the way.
Well,
everybody, I saw
church. I saw some spades. You know what I mean?
I saw spades, but I saw church. A lot of people going to church. I don't see not one person said, I got bottle service set up, reservations at the club. None of that.
Hey, they better than us,
going
man.
out. Huh?
I said they better than us from the past, man.
All right. But yeah, man, perspective plays a big role. And it's important to understand the nature of the journey. And this is kind of like one of the reasons why it's not good to get caught up on one particular facet. Because like, if you just get caught up on one specific thing, you miss the evolution of the journey and the evolution of your mind, really. And it really makes things more difficult for you. So there's going to be the ups and downs. And look, I think it's also to be said, whatever we did in our past, like whatever whatever things we did that would be considered not good, we'll just say, right? We do things and we know, okay, that's probably not a good thing to do, but I'm gonna do it anyway. When we make those decisions, there's a price to be paid for that. We don't get to just erase all of that. You can erase some of the impact of bad choices, like for example, weight. If we're just talking about weight, you could eliminate the weight that you gain from making bad choices, but then you have to deal with the mentality that comes along with it. You have to deal with the trauma and the emotional scars and everything that came along with it. So aesthetically, you might look better, but that's not necessarily what's going on internally. I recently saw it was a picture of two individuals, and the guy, it looked like a guy and a little boy. That's what it looked like, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'll just say two individuals, because one of the faces were fuzzed out and the other one was like a little child. And in the first picture, the child is standing, looking very confident next to this adult, just kind of like proud, standing proud. And in the second picture, they put like a caption that says, "I made the world believe that this person was safe, that this person was good, that this person was kind, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, I was being abused by this person, whoever this person is." Wow. So we can present a certain way, but internally be experiencing our own personal hell, right? It's important to focus on your journey holistically and approach all the different aspects of the journey with the same gusto that you do the points that are most important to you, like the ones that stand out the most, whatever those are. Because we are you can't separate the mental, physical, spiritual, energetic being. We are all, it's all encompassing. We're an interdimensional being. You can't separate the pieces. We have to work on everything simultaneously. Perspective plays a big role in accomplishing that in a way that's going to be conducive to whatever goals you ultimately want. Because if you want weight loss and you're not working on your mentality, you might lose that. You know what I mean? You might lose it later down the road. That's where maintenance kind of comes in. But Steve, I want to kick the ball to you. I've done enough talking. I've been talking for the past couple of weeks. They say they're not tired of me. I mean, I appreciate that. Before I forget, I'm going to shout out Brooklyn, Tia Long, Brooklyn, whatever. I don't know. Steve, you started, right? Like
I wanted to make sure you saw it, man. I saw
it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Shout out. Yo, listen. Hey, Happy New Year. You know what used to confuse me? People say Happy New Year's.
No.
But it is Happy New Year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But people do say Happy New Year's, don't they?
I think that it's
like
just
an S on the end, or am I just hearing people wrong?
No, people say years. It's New Year. But yeah, it's just a way
that we Happy New Year. Hope to see you in the 21 day. Hope to see you in the 21-day challenge.
Hey. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and take the mic, I guess. Since Chris told me a few hours ago, he said, "Hey man, I'm going live tonight, and I need to bring you on. I need you to have something for the people." And I said, what do the people need? And I did I'll say a brief meditation, and I searched myself and just was trying to find what do people need. And I have a lot coming. Number one, for if you don't know, the 21 day is coming up. 21 day fasting challenge starts January 5th. Make sure that you join that. So I have a lot that is coming there, as well as some stuff that is coming out this week as well. Some of it I have to keep on the wraps, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a glimpse into kind of the things that I've been working on. So if you follow me on social media, you know that I'm not currently on social media. Just taking some time off for myself. and of course, just finishing the year focusing on self. And I think that's very important. But Chris said something it was a great segue. He said that you can go through a process and you can lose weight, but if you don't work on your mindset or if you don't work on your mentality, you can lose that, right? Almost verbatim what he said. Lose that means lose the weight loss and essentially gain it back, right? Now, I think that during this process of fasting, to for some of you that are newer, there is a level of spring back or weight gain that would be expected just simply because you're not eating. And now that you are, even if it's the cleanest thing in the world, you can't expect your weight to stay the same, right? So just understand that as you kind of go through this process. But mentally, and spiritually, there is a process that is important prior to fasting, which kind of brings me into my little lesson today. Not little, but I mean it is little because it's not very long. I told Chris it's not going to be very long, and Chris be like, 5 minutes for you means 45 minutes. No, it's not. I promise it's not, unless the spirit got something for y'all. I don't know. For me, I'm like, it ain't that long. But then sometimes, y'all talking about church. Sometimes the spirit has different things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit today about preparing your soil.
Mm.
We're gonna talk about preparing your soil. All right, you guys be able to see that. Boom. Okay. So when we talk about weight loss, right? And we're talking about the act of going into weight loss, for anybody who has done any gardening, for any plant moms and dads, I think that this will make a lot of sense. And the references in this that I may use will be sort of like in gardening or farming or something like that. But you can use these, make them make sense for you, right? But we're going to talk about preparing your soil. Like I said, this isn't super long. There's only a couple slides, but we're gonna see how they go, right? So there was a video that I did a while ago back on it was on the AHA channel, and it really went into weight loss versus fat loss. And that it's a live that you can probably go back and find, and it really dives deep into this a little bit more. And there was a lot of technical information I went through in there about fat signaling and the liver, and how the liver specifically communicates with fat cells and tells the fat to do certain things, whether it be store or whether it be release. But there is a difference between fat loss and weight loss. Now, we tend to use these words interchangeably, but I want to put this first because mentally we have to understand what it is that we're looking to do or the goal that we are working to accomplish. Okay. Now, when we're talking about weight loss or we're talking about fat loss, once again, you just kind of got to know what the differences are. Okay. So weight loss is anything, and this is my own description, I didn't look this up, but weight loss is anything in and on the body that can be removed will increase weight loss, right? Or decrease weight loss. This includes water, inflammation or mucus, fat, blood, hair, and even limbs, right? As Chris says all the time, if you want to lose 30 pounds overnight, I mean, you can just cut an arm off, right? So it's not really just about weight loss, because if you want to lose weight, you can cut your hair, right? I mean, if I cut my hair, man, this stuff is a little, actually it's not, I just washed it, so it's actually feeling kind of lightweight and bouncy. But if you cut your hair and you have a decent amount of hair, you may find that you lose 3 pounds. is it worth it to look on the scale and see 3 pounds and then just have no hair? Right? So when we're talking about weight loss, we have to understand what we're saying or what we are actually asking for. If you remember the movie Aladdin, or not even necessarily Aladdin, right? Let's just say genies, and you see these movies with them all the time, and they'll wish for something, and they'll say, I wish to be a millionaire, or I wish to be a billionaire. And they will become a billionaire, but then come to find out that $1 billion was taken from an Italian bank somewhere, and it was traced back to this person, and now they go to prison, right? I watch a lot of movies. So you have to understand that the things that you're asking for, there may be consequences to them. So what we really want to focus on, and I don't have any problem with people saying the term weight loss. I use it all the time. Like I said, it's interchangeable. But what we really want is we really want fat loss, which is different than simply weight loss, right? Now, fat loss is my own definition, the strategic reduction, so this is calculated, the strategic reduction of property stored in a fat cell. Now, inside of a fat cell, you have three things primarily that are stored there. These are just umbrella terms: water or hydration, you have toxins, and you have nutrition. All of these things are stored inside of a fat cell. In order for you to decrease fat inside of the body, you need to decrease water, toxins, and nutrition that are stored inside of that cell. You cannot simply just reduce water from it by dehydrating yourself or going into a sauna. You cannot simply reduce toxins by doing a detox or by taking herbal teas. You cannot simply reduce nutrition by just eating a little bit less. And so doing all of these things individually are all beneficial, but if you want to decrease the fat cell, then you must decrease all three. When you remove all three of these from a fat cell, it will cause the fat cell to shrink and go into a deep storage rest mode. Now, a common misunderstanding or a common myth that we hear in the fat loss world or the fitness world or anything of that nature is we want to burn the fat. Well, guess what? There's no such thing as burning fat. And I know that it sounds crazy because it's like, what do you mean? Burn fat? Everyone says burn fat. You don't actually burn fat. The only way that you burn fat cells is if you get surgery. Let's say you get a tummy tuck and then they do some sort of surgery and they're removing fat cells from the body, and then they are going in and using a laser to then burn the fat cells from the body. That is how you would actually remove a fat cell. Now, I think that there are certain times where that may be beneficial depending on the person and what they've gone through, but for most people, I don't find that to be beneficial. Why? Fat cells are important. What did I say that they stored? They store water, toxins, and nutrition, right? If you are removing fat cells that are storing toxins, those toxins are designed to, of course, hurt you or harm the body. The body cannot process them because the liver is typically overburdened because of the way that we eat or the chemicals in our food and our air. And it makes it very difficult for the liver to do its job properly, communicate with all the other elimination pathways and tell everybody to do what they need to do. The liver's like, hey, I can't deal with these toxins right now. Fat, store them, right? Now, so the fat cells are designed to protect you. They're designed to help you survive. So if you remove them in the way that you laser them or physically go in by surgery and remove them, you are removing protection from toxins. You're removing the liver and the body's ability to store toxins that are harmful to you. If you remove those storage forms from the body, guess what? That doesn't mean that it's all just good. They will find another place to be stored. So what I have seen, and my own friends and some clients, is that they will have a weight loss surgery where they will have skin removed, or they'll have like a tummy tuck and with liposuction. They go in and remove things. and their stomach will stay smaller and flatter, but then fat will accumulate in other places of their body that they didn't accumulate them before. This can happen in the arms, in the upper and the lower back, right, as well as in the buttocks. For some, that may be a good thing, in the thighs, or in the lower legs or ankles, right? The body is very intelligent, and it is saying, I have to store this somewhere, right? So even surgery, and when we say we're just going to remove fat, that's not really the most ideal way to do things. The most ideal way to do things is, number one, understand this process. And if you understand what the fat cell is doing, then you can understand how to then remove or make these changes in your life to allow the body and the detox pathways to tell the fat cells to release these things inside of itself so that fat cells can be decreased. Now, the negative part to this is that when you create a lot of fat cells, so if you have lost a lot of weight, or if you were bigger at one point, those fat cells don't ever just go away. They go into a dormant storage mode, which means that, unfortunately, if in the future you get to the point where you then start eating the same way, or you start adding more toxins into your body, the body can very easily just reactivate those silent or rest or dormant fat cells, and then it will immediately start storing in those fat cells again. Doesn't matter if they've been dormant for a year, 2 years, 10 years, right? It will reactivate them. So this is why, for people that have already been bigger, it is much more difficult to maintain weight loss than for somebody who maybe has only gained 30 pounds over the last couple of years and they just have a few pounds to lose. It makes it easier for them to maintain that weight loss because there's less areas for them to be stored in. Think about it like this. If you have a house and you have all this space, the more space you have, you will over time accumulate a lot of stuff. If you have less space, you tend to not accumulate more things. Right? It's like the term, if you build it, they will come. If you have a church, right, then people typically will come to it, depending on, of course, right, a whole bunch of other things. But typically, people will come. If you have fat storage, then things will come. So it is even more vital for us that have gone through larger amounts of weight loss, or that need to go through major amounts of weight loss, to understand this entire process. Because when I say that you cannot go back to what you were doing before, I don't mean that as in like for your health. I literally mean that as in, if you do, you literally will go back to where you were faster than before. It's not just simply because of inflammation. It's literally because the fat cells are still sitting there. They're waiting to be used. Why? Because there's storage. Plain and simple, right? So, what is the most important part about weight loss? We would think that, oh, well, I got to fast. I got to start walking. I got to go to the gym. I got to take diet pills. I got to take supplements, right? No. The most important part about weight loss or fat loss, right, is making sure that you have your soil prepared before you even start. This is what Chris was talking about when he said mentally being ready, right? This is one of the reasons why the 21-day fasting challenge is so much better, in my opinion, than others, because there is a longer period of preparation prior to the fasting. This gives you more time to prepare your soil before you actually go through the process of actual fasting or any weight loss efforts, right? So a common mistake that we make, or a common mistake that we make, is focusing on the fasting portion or activity portion of weight loss, and not focusing on the mentality or physically preparing the body for the weight loss, right? So this is what I mean when I say I want to make these references when I talk about gardening, right? So we all understand, well, a lot of us should understand, that if you take a seed, and this seed can be organic, It can be an heirloom. It could come from one of the best crops with the best genetics. But if you plant that seed in clay, it is not going to grow. If you plant it where there's low nutrition, right, or and there's low sunlight, the soil is not tilled and it's not good fertile ground, right? There's been no plant material that has died in over top of that soil to feed the soil. It's going to have a very difficult time, right? But if you plant that seed inside of fertile soil, it is so much more apt to grow. It is going to flourish. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, so sorry. The spirit is taking over, right? But it's going to flourish. Okay, so when we think about fasting, a common problem that we see, and this is maybe something that you have done outside of a challenge. This is done on your own. You see AHA and you get some information, or you see an infomercial somewhere, and you see any whatever, doesn't matter. You saw somebody fit in the gym, you're like, I'm going to start doing that, right? You don't work on your soil, which is your mentality, right? Or your physically how you eat. You just simply start. And what you are doing is you are wasting your efforts, and you are trying to plant your seed, which is your effort, into unfertile ground. And then when things don't work out, you say, oh, this is rubbish. This doesn't work. It does work. The problem is that you did not prepare your soil before place, right? So, number one, begin to mentally start to create. If you haven't heard this term yet, just stick with us. You're going to hear a lot more. Identity-based goal changes. Changes based upon who you want to become versus simply a goal you want to reach. Now, take that in for a second, right? For those of you who were at the retreat, you already know what I'm talking about. You got to deep dive into this. For those that have never heard this before, or for those of you who have maybe heard it once or twice, like, understand this. There is a vital difference between taking Stephen as I am and saying, I want this version of myself to be 100 pounds less. I don't have 100 pounds to lose, just saying. But let's just say, I want this version of myself to be 100 pounds less. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is a goal-based change, and that's okay. The problem with that is that now this same Stephen is 100 pounds less, and maybe obviously there's some changes that have happened because I've done some work, right? Maybe I picked up a few better habits, but there's a lot of other bad habits that have been ingrained into me that got me to where I am that have not changed, right? I just simply transplanted this version of myself into another version of myself, which is 100 pounds lighter. That's not going to work. Take it from me. This is what I've been working on this entire last year, trying new things, trying to figure out who I am, trying to figure out what it is that I want from my life. Who am I? I'm giving you a roadmap for the future that you don't know is going to be coming just yet. Okay? I'm giving you a heads up. I'm GPS. I'm telling you, you're going to get to this point, right? Where you're like, wow, I've lost some weight. I feel good, right? But then you go through this spiral, right? You're up and down, you're up and down, you're up and down. And you're like, wait a second, what is going on? Well, the problem is that the entire time you've been focused on goal-based changes. Once again, there's nothing wrong with goal-based changes, but you need to incorporate identity-based changes. Your identity is the person that you are when you are by yourself. Your identity is the person that you see in the mirror that you only see, the person that you don't show anyone else, the person that you have been your entire life, the person that you have cultivated in order to keep you safe as you were growing up in your home environment, right? Now, maybe that person has created food as a coping mechanism for stress, or maybe they've created food as a coping mechanism for abuse, or for all these other things in your life. Whatever the case may be, that is your identity. Whether you want to believe it or not, that is who you are. And there's nothing wrong with being who you are. But if you want to make changes for the long term and maintain those changes, then you have to be able to say, this is not a good part of me. Doing this in this way is not positive, and this is something that I need to change. These are identity-based changes that we need to focus on, and part of that is understanding who you are versus who you want to be. Not necessarily as in just weight, but the way that you think, the way that your perspective, the way that you visualize yourself, the way that you talk to yourself. All of these things are based in your identity. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, I do have a video that will be coming out this week. You are going to want to watch that when it does release. And if you're really going to want to join the 21, because I'm going to be talking about this even more. If you were in the R72, in the last challenge, I did, of course, go over some of this. But as I continue to learn about my own identity and as I learn what works for me, what doesn't work, I'm going to continue to share those things. I do also have something else coming. I haven't told Chris about it yet. I was trying to wait. I'm not going to give you guys everything, right? You got to watch. You got to come back later this week to get more. But I do have something that's going to assist you with that process as well. But if that sounds really interesting to you, make sure that you stay tuned this week, right? Number 2, following a diet that is focused around the identity you are looking to create. Now, we have all said this phrase, I'm not doing this for weight loss. I'm doing this for a lifestyle change, right? And it sounds really good. And that's really the mindset that we do want to go into things with. But what does that mean, right? That means that we need to find a way to transition from where we are into a middle portion of somewhere where there's change. So there's new things mixed with old things, with the mindset knowing that I eventually need to get to somewhere new, right? Now, understanding what that diet is for you may be a little difficult, right? Finding out, what do I want? Part of that is research, understanding what foods are good, what foods are not good, what foods are harming me, what chemicals are in my foods. There's a lot that needs to go into that so you can understand. I can tell you red 40 is bad for you, but if you don't understand that red 40 is linked to ADHD in children, and if you don't understand that these chemicals are altering the way that we think and they're decreasing your libido, which are causing issues with your partner, if you don't understand these things, then you're going to be like, it's red, it's not that bad. That everybody said we can eat them. The more that you learn about these things, the more that you are willing to stay away from them. So you need to focus or find a diet. A diet is not simply just a short-term thing that we do. A diet, the actual definition of a diet, is the way that something typically eats, right? So if you talk about the diet of a lion, they eat raw meat. That is their diet. They're not losing weight or trying to lose weight. So when we say diet, we're talking about the way that you typically eat, right? So we need to focus on a diet, right, that is going to be high in fruits, high in vegetables, cooked, steamed, boiled, raw, right? Getting away from all of the processed foods, getting away from the chemicals. And yes, there is going to be a transition. Some days you're going to be great, some days you're not. And that's okay. You're transitioning. But in the mindset, the whole time you're thinking, I need to focus on these changes. And you know, if you make too many changes all at once, you're going to fail. And that's a lot of people. If you try to do everything all at once, you're going to fail. This is why it's a transition. You just slowly remove certain things, and then you then continue to transition as you go through this process. Now, in regards to weight loss and in regards to like fasting, that process of transitioning is removing processed foods. It is focusing on foods that are more hydrating, focusing on things that are going to help clean out the body. So number 3, right? How do we prepare the soil? You have to focus on bowel and elimination pathway cleansing, right? Bowel cleansing. These are going to be enemas. These are going to be foods that are high in fiber, that are rough, and they're going to pull old damaged poop out of the system, right? Cleaning the kidneys, right? These are going to be some of your herbs, right? One of the best things you can have is like cranberry juice. Clean your kidneys. Go through a quick 24-hour dry fast. These things help clean the kidneys. Your liver. Decrease the fats in your life. Go through a process where you're doing you start do a little apple fast. 24 hours of just apples only. Apples are fantastic for the liver. Start adding a little celery juice to your daily diet. Just a little bit of celery, 16 to 32 ounces every day. This is going to really help your liver. Help clean out your lungs. Practice some deep breathing. They're a muscle. Muscles work well when they're utilized. If you don't work them, right, they don't work very well. And I understand that we breathe, right? But there's a difference between shallow breathing and deep breathing. The more deep breathing you do, the more air gets into the lungs, the more they get worked, the more that you will deep breathe naturally, right? And then your digestive system. Once again, this is going to be cleaning the digestive system, is going to be cleaning the bowels, cleaning the lower intestine, or the colon, your ascending colon, your descending colon, your transverse colon. Doing home enemas, right? Doing them with a little bit of lemon water. Going and getting a colonic, for 3 sessions of a colonic, right? That's what they suggest to really help clean out that colon. But when you clean your elimination pathways, that is helping to assist in preparing soil for weight loss. Any efforts that you put into your weight loss, when you have prepared the ground, will be so much better. So one of the issues, like, people will fast and they're like, oh, Stephen, I'm fasting, but I'm only losing a pound a day and I'm like 250 pounds. I don't understand why. Well, what did you do prior to fasting? Nothing. What did you eat yesterday? Well, I just ate regular and then I just started fasting. So yeah, you didn't prepare yourself. Your body is all clogged up. You need to open things up a little bit and allow the process to happen. Why is this important? What did I say? When we go back here and we look at fat loss, what do we need to do? We need to remove water, toxins, and nutrition from the fat cell. To get fat loss, fasting does this because, yes, you are no longer eating and getting nutrition, so it has to go to the fat cell to get that nutrition. What else does it do? It then releases or decreases the burden on all of your pathways. What are elimination pathways? Elimination pathways are ways that the body eliminates. They are pathways that the body uses to eliminate. If they're clogged, try.
Did I fade out or did Steve fade out? Am I still here or am I gone? Do y'all see Steven? Okay, he did. Okay. I don't know when he's going to come back because I don't know if he knows he's gone. He probably still preaching
Focus
right
on
now.
Nutrition, right?
Steve,
you have now removed.
Steve, you lagged out for like 30 seconds, bro.
30 seconds?
Yeah, it was a nice little bit of time. We was talking and everything. So I'm just telling you so that if there was something they need to connect the dots with the last 30 seconds of what you said, I don't know,
Whew. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just go on, man. Go on with it.
Now, so what I was saying is that you need to decrease three things, right? In order for you to decrease fat. You need to decrease your intake of nutrition. When you fast, you do that, right? When you eat whole foods, which are dense foods, and they are nutritionally dense, but not calorie dense, right? The more dense these foods are, the more they will fill up your stomach, right? Your body still needs those nutritions. It will allow the body to then focus on using what you ate. And then it's going to be like, okay, that's all used. We still need energy. It'll start going to the fat stores. Okay. So this will help to decrease nutrition inside of the fat. Now, you then have the process of decreasing toxins. What I was saying is that you have a highway. You have your elimination pathways are like a road. And imagine you have a 3-lane road and 2 of the lanes are blocked. That was an accident, right? Something came up, there was an accident. There's now only 1 lane that is there. What's that going to do to traffic? It is going to stop traffic, or it's going to very slow traffic down. Everything is going to get backed up, everything's going to get clogged. So when we say open your elimination pathways, what you're doing is you are now removing the obstruction, whatever it may be, right? And then you are now allowing traffic or toxins to now flow through those pathways freely. This is why preparing your soil is important. This is why the 21 day is important, because of what we teach and the detox that we do and the preparation that we do prior to the fasting portion. It allows you to open up those pathways so that now you can decrease toxins. Now you have decreased 2 out of the 3 things that you need. And then you have water or hydration. As you go through the process, almost 90% of people are dehydrated. If your body is dehydrated, guess what it's going to do? It's going to hold water. It wants to survive and know it needs that. So in order for you to actually tell the body to release water, you need to increase water, which sounds crazy, but think about it. If you have $100 in your bank account and you're like, hey, I'm struggling right now, the last thing that you're going to do is just frivolously spend it on whatever. Just, oh, I need some socks. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. No, you're going to hold on to it, and you're only going to spend with what you know that you need. So removing the obstructions and then increasing hydration is going to allow the body to have an abundance of water, which then it says, oh, I got plenty of hydration coming in. I can now release the hydration or the water from the fat cell. You now have removed all 3 of those things inside of the fat cell, which then allows you to decrease the fat cell in and of itself, right? And then the last thing, and I'm sorry, I'll be brief, I'll wrap up. I guess this was longer than I expected.
Oh, Stephen.
The last thing is low effort fasting, right? So if you have ever planted or maintained a plant in their lives, understand that soil is everything. If you have great soil, you can grow just about anything, and it will flourish faster than anything you've planted in subpar soil. And anyone that has ever planted anything, I hear this from Chris all the time, right? If you spend 80% of your effort or your energy into planning and preparing for weight loss or fat loss prior to the action steps of fasting or activity, aka the gym or walking, the results that you get will come much faster and much easier. Weight will come off quicker. You can build lean skeletal mass, aka muscle, right, faster, and it will be much easier to maintain your results by focusing on starting things properly instead of planting all your seeds or effort into poorly tilled and fertilized soil. And then the last thing, do not be afraid to make things work for you. Earlier, somebody asked, how do I deal with low energy while I'm at work? If you struggle to make it 24 hours on water only, start adding juices to your water, right? Or to your fasting. Add some lemon water to your fasting. Why do we suggest lemon water? Because lemon water is acidic, and it is one of the only acids in nature that actually turn alkaline inside of the body, and they help break down and remove obstructions. So the traffic jam, lemon water helps that. So this is something that is okay while you're fasting. If you're struggling to get through a day, then add a little juice. Do not be afraid to then make adjustments for yourself until you get to the point where you can go 24, 36, 48, 21 days of water only. Most people cannot. It's not easy. But don't be afraid to make some adjustments to help you get through that day, because getting through that day, even with a little juice or coconut water or vegetable broth or something like that, it will make a tremendous benefit to you in the long run, and it will make your fasting easier long term. So the way that you get the low effort fasting is by focusing 80% of your energy, your effort, and your time in the beginning of the fasting process, the preparation phase, and then go through the process of the fasting or the weight loss. And then if you start struggling, it's okay to take a little step back because the detox is too intense. Take a little step back, make some adjustments, and then get right back into it. all while focusing on understanding that you're doing this not simply for a temporary time, but you're doing this because you are changing your identity and who you are. So that was my my quick lesson for today, and I hope this was beneficial.
Man, pass the collection plate around. I'm gonna need y'all to pass the collection plate around because we got to bless the speaker. That was incredible as always, and this is the reason why I love the contrast of our teaching styles, because I get to sit here, learn, hear something from a different perspective. Y'all got to know, like, part of what makes our team great is the diversity. Everybody's not just doing what Chris does. People are living their own experience, and they all have that curiosity mind. And this is what we get, man. It's incredible. There was a couple points. There was one main point that I wanted to kind of pluck out, but I didn't want to stop you in the middle of what you were saying. But I wanted people to understand something. When he was talking about the fat cells, right? We don't burn fat cells, okay? That's just a marketing ploy. But when we do burn fat cells through surgery or something of that nature, having them removed, what happens? You remove the capacity for the body to expand and contrast the fat cells in that area, which makes that area more susceptible to disease later on. So it's not an efficient way to do it. We all think aesthetically it looks great. Take a little liposuction, boop, 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 no big deal. But I do want you all to understand, when you do things that way, there is a consequence. There's a price to pay. And fat cells don't reproduce. They don't come back. Once you destroy them, they're gone, right? They're amazing little creatures, if you want to look at it that way, because they can expand to an unlimited capacity. And that's why people can be 600 pounds, right? We just had Pete come on, and he talked about his wellness journey, where he started off at, I believe it was over 600 pounds and lost over 300 pounds. How was he able to do that? Because the fat cells will expand as much as they need to. That's
and
really incredible.
Duplicate and expand infinitely.
That's incredible. That's incredible, right? But when you go in there with the wrong mindset, you can damage that ability. And we don't want to do that if we can avoid it. I think, Steve, you mentioned sometimes it can be good. Sometimes there's a reason for it. But if we can avoid it, we want to. We want to do things the right way. Okay. So I wanted to point that out. And so here's the thing. As Stephen has been talking, I know there's a small subset of you that's like, what does it got to do with losing 30 pounds in 1 month? Well, in case you missed it, I just want to make sure that we, bring everything full circle. In order to lose the weight, it is important to prepare the soil, the mindset. You want to have a mind that is ready. The physical actions are pretty easy. Stop eating, right? Or drink a little water. It's pretty easy to lose the weight. But in order to be successful, because the stop eating part is not always easy. Some people find it easy, some people don't. Some people find it easy at first and they start struggling. What we're saying is to increase your ability to be successful on a 30-day fast or whatever it is you might want to do. You want to prepare your mind first, prepare your body, open up your elimination pathways, and then focus your energy on fat loss, not just weight loss. Because as we've said many times, Steve, I actually had I just got on Threads. Shout out to my Threads account. Yep, I did it. Yep, I got on Threads. I love Threads. It's so weird. I love Threads. And so we're a healthy alternative on Threads if you guys want to come check me out. And somebody had asked, what's the fastest way to lose weight? Wrong answers only. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those vibes. So you know what I said, Steve. I said, well, the fastest way to lose a little pounds, cut that arm, cut that leg off. Literally within seconds, you could drop, 30 pounds or whatever. And it got 10,000 views, 800 likes.
Wow.
In a day. Like, the reality is this. The goal is not just weight loss. How you lose the weight matters. The area of concentration or focus matters. we got to do this in the most efficient way possible so that not only do you lose it, but you don't got to worry about it coming back. And also you build the mental capacity for what it is you're going to experience after the weight loss, right? 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 100 pounds, doesn't matter. So the trick, how do you actually lose the weight? Join the 21-day fasting challenge. That's the trick. That's the what do you call it? It's the shortcut.
It's the fastest way.
During the shortcut, we are going to have presentations very similar to this, where you are going to learn very concise information about how to do your fast efficiently. You want to lose 30 pounds in a month? You fast for 25 days, and you'll do it. That'll between 21 and 25 days, you'll lose the 30 pounds. Depends on how much you weigh. But if you want to increase your chance of success and being able to accomplish that goal, or to enhance the mental readiness for that, open up the elimination pathway so that it's a more seamless transition from eating standard American diet to fasting over the course of 21 plus days, then joining the 21-day fasting challenge is going to help you guys do that. And I've been talking a lot about I've touched on many different topics coming up to the end of the year, but one of the things I was talking about are the promises that we make to ourselves every single year or every month or whatever. We make these promises to ourselves, and essentially what we do is we end up betraying ourselves. We betray ourselves, and we don't think about it as a betrayal because we think about betrayal as it coming from an outside in. I trusted you, you betrayed me. We don't think about how we betray ourselves. And it's very important to understand this. And I broke it down in one of our live stream presentations earlier today. I'm not going to go 100% into it, but basically your body is made up of millions, we'll just say millions of different cells. You've got the human cells, you've got the different bacteria and the organisms and things of that nature. And all of these creatures, these entities, these things work to your benefit. They work to the greater good of you. It's a whole little planet inside of you, right? And when you make a promise, all right, 2025 is the last year I'm going to be 50 pounds overweight. I'm going to drop this 50 pounds. We're going to get it done. And then 2026 rolls around and you done gained 5 pounds. You're not just lying to yourself. And that's not just inconsequential. You're lying to your entire ecosystem, all of the little organisms that work to your greater good. This only stands to hurt you. It's not just simply, oh, no big deal, try again next year. Look at the quality of your life and how it deteriorates time and time again. As we lie more and more to ourselves, do you see the quality of life increasing or decreasing? It's not as if you get to do this with no consequence. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you lie, when you make a statement, I am going to do X, Y, Z, or I give my word, I'm going to do this, or I make a promise that I'm going to accomplish that, and you don't do it, and you don't do it because in a way where you are conscious and it is intentional. You're choosing to eat the cookie. You're choosing to watch the show instead of going to the gym. You're choosing to do whatever, right? Instead of the thing you need to be doing. That is betrayal by definition. You are betraying yourself. And the funny thing about it is, we all know the golden rule: do to others as you would have them do to you, right? So if we have this expectation that people are going to treat us a certain way, but the reality is you don't take care of home first. You betray yourself. How can you expect someone else to be loyal when you're disloyal to yourself? Think about it like this. Maybe some of y'all have met somebody who you really are into. You love this person. Like, you've been talking to them for a while. You think they're just the greatest thing since sliced bread. You love this person, but they don't love themselves. Tell me how difficult it is to maintain your feelings and affection towards somebody that doesn't love themselves first. You're constantly trying to pour into them, reaffirm them, reassure them that they are enough, they're worthy. It is exhausting. Wouldn't we kind of say it's kind of impossible to love somebody who doesn't love themselves? No matter how much you pour into them, eventually you get burnt out. It's no different. If you are telling yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I got this wellness goal, I got that wellness goal, we're going to accomplish this, next year's going to be better, blah, 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 blah. And you're just constantly lying to yourself. Well, now you can understand why people do that to you. Now you can understand why you don't get the outcomes, why you don't have the type of environment or support system that you think you want. We cannot expect more from other people than we expect from ourselves. So it's not inconsequential to just say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to lose it, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, oops, didn't do it. Maybe next time. There is a price that you have to pay for that. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to think about truly what it is that you want to accomplish. Are you looking for fat loss? Are you looking for mental readiness? Are you looking for maybe you have like some type of energetic trauma or spiritual enlightenment that you want to accomplish? Whatever that is, you need to really sit with that and you need to take it seriously. And you need to think, okay, what can be my first step, right? Or maybe you're already on this journey, you just need to take the next step. What can be my next step? And make sure that whatever step that is, it's one that you can commit to so that you don't lie to yourself. Because you don't want to be the type of person. When I was growing up, you would see the stories. This is just a narrative that TV and movie propaganda that the father or the man in the life, whether it's the man in the life of a woman, the man in the life of a child, it was always this narrative that the man makes a promise and breaks the promise, right? He's got a little son. His son wants to build a go-kart with you. Now we're talking about my story. His son wants to build a go-kart because he loves mechanics and he loves things that move. And the dad's working all the time because he's trying to provide for a family of 6. And he says, all right, son, on Saturday, we're going to go to the hardware store. We're going to get these pieces. We're going to make this go-kart. And Saturday comes and goes, and he don't even say nothing about it, as if he just forgot, as if he never intended to do it in the first place. And then you remind him and he says, oh, yeah, we're going to do it on Wednesday. And Wednesday comes and goes. And it's the same story over and over and over again. Eventually, that child no longer trusts you, doesn't believe you. Your word is nothing to them, right? That has an everlasting impact on your relationship. You have to understand that you may have been doing that to your own self, your inner child, or whatever part of you that you are making these promises to. You may be building a history, a backlog of broken promises. And what happens is it becomes more and more challenging to keep your word, to follow through as you continue to build that backlog of nonsense. It's not inconsequential. We have to take it more seriously, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to lie to someone else before I lie to myself. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I'm going to lie to somebody else before I lie to myself. You know? We gotta be honest with ourselves. So figure out what it is you guys want to accomplish. If you think that joining our challenge is going to help you get there, if you think that information like this resonates and it's going to help edify you, then I encourage you to join. I've been talking about, so Steven's got some new stuff coming, and it's great because it's coming from his own personal experience, and that usually resonates the most. I've got some new stuff coming that I've been learning, and I'm very, very excited to share with you guys just things I've been experiencing. I believe that is going to give you the opportunity. Steve, you had mentioned fasting springback earlier, right? Which is the amount of weight that you gain after a fast. What if we found a way to mitigate that springback? What if we could neutralize it? Or what if instead of like gaining weight back after we stop our fast, we continue losing weight? How powerful would that be? How much further could you get, right? And then, of course, what does the weight gain equal? It just equals getting further along in your detox process. Because we look at it like, oh, man, there was this lady on Threads, and she had posted, she said, I'm done trying, something along the lines of, I'm done with the goal of getting under 200 pounds. That it's It's clearly I'm done, right? It was something along that line. But the way she wrote it, I wasn't certain if she was saying I'm done because I've completed it and I'm never going back, or I'm done because I'm giving up because it's not happening. So I asked for clarification, and she responded and she said, I'm done trying to get under 200 pounds because I don't look right. I look sick under 200 pounds, and that ain't for me. And I almost shed a tear, bro. I'm like, you have allowed society, your own self-loathing, whatever, propaganda. I don't know what causes someone to feel that getting to a healthy weight makes them look sickly. But I didn't know what to say. I didn't know. I felt like there was nothing that I could say that would encourage her, inspire her. And I feel like we gotta catch y'all before you get to that point. Before you feel like, bro, it's a wrap. It's pointless. Like there's no point. And you've talked yourself into believing that you're better off obese because that woman was obese. You're not a woman under 6 foot and 200 pounds and not obese. It just doesn't work. The BMI don't work. The math's not mathing. At what point did we convince ourselves that we could be 200 pounds as a woman and that makes sense? Like that's healthy. Now, I don't have no problem with people being 200 pounds. A lot of the women in our community are 200 pounds. The problem that I have is when you convince yourself that that's the life you're supposed to have. What you were made, God made you that way. One of the things we used to get a lot, Steve, you remember? I'm big boned it. Remember that? Man, we used to hear that all the time.
Yeah, we don't hear that no more.
Never hear it anymore. No one ever says it anymore. Why? Why don't they say that anymore? Because if you've been following the brand, you see women 200 pounds overweight, and they're now petite. So we know that's not true. You know, don't give up on yourself. Don't feel like, oh, it's okay to be obese. It's not okay. Not from a health standpoint. If you guys decide that that is what you want, that's different. And we're probably not the community for you, right? But I don't want you to make that decision out of frustration, like I gotta be 200 pounds overweight. And also it matters how you lose the weight. If you lose the weight in an unnatural way, yeah, you might not look better. Yeah. Maybe that's true.
If you're taking Ozempic and you're doing diet and exercise like traditionally, yeah, you will lose some weight and you won't look good. And the reason you don't look good, it's 100% one reason. It's because you're massively decreasing muscle mass. So yeah, you're gonna look gaunt. You won't look good. But the problem with that situation, it is her identity. And this is why this information is so important. It is who she has created in her mind, who she is going to be, who she just is. And that's a problem. And we all have an identity in our mind of who we are, and we just don't know it. So that's what we are. That's we got to work on that. But yeah, that's the issue. But yeah, I promise if she lost weight and then but didn't lose muscle, I mean, you gonna look good.
You're gonna look good. You're gonna feel good. You have your tone. You're gonna have your Coke bottle. Steve, I telling somebody the other day, I said, let me take a line from Stephen Michael. I said, your shape is your DNA, but your weight is your choice. You people talk about your genes. Your genes, I'm big because of my genes. No, your shape is your genes, but how big that shape is, that's your decision making. Those are your choices. So let's not conflate the two. All right, we got to be responsible. We got to take accountability for our actions. There was a meme I saw the other night. I almost posted it, and it was like, if guns kill people, then cars drive drunk and spoons make people obese. And I was just like, bro, that's so good. the spoons making people obese part actually resonates with me and my community a lot, right? We are the ones that are choosing what goes in our mouth. And then if you guys are hearing the sound of our voice, you already know what it is as far as like how to make better choices, what's causing you to gain weight, and what's causing your struggles. And then once you understand your habits and how they're impacting your health and your weight and these types of things, once you are cognizant of it, it is no longer bad habits, it's poor choices. I put the link in the chat. If you guys want to join the challenge, if you guys are listening on Instagram, the link's in the bio. Hey man, this challenge is going to be off the chain. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey man, you got to put the link in the description too.
Man, I don't put it in the description. It's everywhere. It ain't in the description?
No.
How you know?
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, you're right. It ain't in there. Because I didn't do the description this time. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. I ain't got no more talking, Steve. Was there some questions you want to go over, anything like that?
Let me see. Yeah, there was two real. Question: how do you deal with being anxious about gaining weight back and self-control? I know I'm disciplined because I lost 30 pounds. I'm so scared. Chris he talked about this very briefly, I think. But once again, I guess for me, my answer is going to go back to your identity. If you're anxious, that means you're scared about the future. You're nervous about the future. Unfortunately, in this scenario, you're nervous about the future because you know the pattern that you have lived. And the pattern is simply going to continue to replay itself unless you make a change to the pattern. The way that you make a change to the pattern is, number one, to recognize or bring clarity to the actual pattern and to give it credence. So I know I've done this before. And here's the multiple times I've tried and this happened. But now I'm going to do something different. And that really comes from changing your identity around the way that you eat and the way that you see yourself. So yeah, it's okay to be scared and it's okay to be anxious, but acknowledge your feelings, and because they are real. But once again, this is something that would be better addressed inside of the challenge, and something that I'm going to release this Wednesday. I'm not going to say anything now, but more will come, and you're going to have tools that will help you with this specifically. And there was one more. She asked, will some fat cells die if they stay dormant or starved for a long time? How long? Maybe after years? No, they don't. They don't die. They don't. When you gain weight, those fat cells multiply, and then they grow. They grow to a certain size, and then they multiply, right? So one fat cell only gets so big. When it gets filled up, it then multiplies or duplicates. When that fat cell gets empties, it simply shrinks. It does not die. So forever, it will have the ability to be refilled, which is so important as to why we have to change the way that we think and the way that we see ourselves.
And you want it to have that ability because that is a protection mechanism. But keep in mind the intelligence of the human body. When any organ, system, or cell is not needed, it goes dormant. They call them prehistoric organs and all that weird crap that they say. It's not prehistoric. It's not from evolution. It's not like we have leftover parts. All the leftover parts, the things that they basically don't know what they do, they're just dormant organs. And you'll know what they do when they are activated because of a very specific stimulus. That's all. But they're just dormant organs. Someone had asked if we take EBT. No, we don't take EBT. But I wanted to say that one of the things that we have done is we have added an option at checkout with our different courses and classes where you guys can do a pay like a pay option. All right.
Yeah,
So
after paying.
huh?
Yeah, after pay.
Yeah, there's a couple different options. There's a couple different options actually. And so you could make your purchase and then stretch the payment out. I know one of our options gives you 30 days same as cash or something like that, right? Where you could literally, your first payment's not even due for 30 days. Actually, I might be conflating another program, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, you could start today. You could pay 30 days from now. They might not treat it the same as cash. But I am working on a program where that is the case, right? 30 days or a year, same as cash. So I'm working on that. And there was another question I saw. I signed up for the package with the teas. Okay, yeah, someone asked me about the teas. Will I receive the teas in time? So it really just depends. If you just signed up, it just depends. I mean, you can email support@healthyalternative.org if you want to ask. But if you just signed up, don't email. There's no point. Like we're not going to be able to answer the question. But it just depends. So you'll get tracking as soon as the teas are in the mail. You'll get tracking. I know someone asked about the herbal teas and things of that nature. The appetite suppressant tea is currently in stock. It is available. Okay, it is a very sore spot for me to talk about the detox kit, because I went through great lengths to make sure that those teas would be available, and I paid a lot of money to make sure that those teas would be available, and we've gone all year without them. So I do my best to be professional. I don't want to talk about sore spots live, because then I might say things about people that I don't want to say. And, so don't hold your breath on the detox tea bundle, but the appetite suppressant teas are available. And when the other teas become available, I'll let you guys know. Yes, we do ship overseas. The cookbook is it's actually going to be available for pre-order. We're literally like finalizing it, so in the next day or two, it'll be available for pre-order. Okay, but they won't ship until probably late January or something around that time. So just so you know, but the pre-orders are going to be open. The cookbook is finished. We just have to put a few final touches on it, and you guys will be able to grab that. All right, Steve, what you think?
Let's wrap them up, man.
I know y'all gonna keep coming with them questions, but we gotta go.
They're not gonna stop.
You're not gonna stop. I know. I appreciate y'all's time and attention tonight. It's been a great call, Steve. I appreciate you coming on. We definitely look forward to whatever it is that you have coming as far as Wednesday's lesson. And thank you all for your time. I hope to see you in the challenge. Peace. Oh, hit the like button, share and comment and subscribe.
Wow, at the very end.